What if events went differently? Consider a world where the narrative twists into unexpected paths. What if in Disney's Beauty and the Beast was brutally murdered? Envision a diverging tale where Bella, unable to muster the courage to take her father's place, leaves him confined within the walls of the Beast's castle. Tormented by guilt and desperation, she seeks out Gaston, not as a hero, but as a mercenary. In a grim pact, she offers her hand in marriage in exchange for Gaston's dark deed, the slaying of the Beast. This chilling scenario unravels a different fate, steering us through shadowed corridors of choices not taken and the grim consequences that follow. So that being said, my fellow watchers of the multiverse, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date for the latest content. But that being said, let's dive into the brand new episode. In the quaint, bustling village nestled at the edge of an expansive forest, Belle lived with her father, Maurice, an eccentric inventor whose genius was as much a source of pride as it was of local amusement. Belle, with her voracious appetite for books and her disdain for provincial life, dreamed of adventure and escape, her spirit too large for the small-minded town. One fateful day, Maurice set off to showcase his latest invention at a fair, but became lost in the woods. His wanderings led him to a mysterious, foreboding castle, shrouded in perpetual winter. Despite his trepidation, curiosity drew him inside, only to be imprisoned by the castle's master, a fearsome beast, as much animal as man, cursed by a forgotten enchantment to live in isolation. When Maurice failed to return, Belle's worry compelled her to seek him out, tracking his path through the forest to the beast's castle. Upon arrival, she was met with a living nightmare. Her father, gaunt and shivering, locked in a cold, dank dungeon. The beast, towering and wrathful, offered Belle a grim proposition to take her father's place as his prisoner. Overcome with fear and desperation, she refused, a decision that would forever alter the course of her life. She fled the castle, her father's pleas echoing in her ears, chased by the shadows of what might have been. Back in the village, haunted by the image of her father, suffering alone, Belle found herself with nowhere to turn but to Gaston, the town's most eligible bachelor. Gaston, a hunter of repute and as vain as he was handsome, had long desired Belle as a trophy wife, her resistance only inflaming his obsession. Seeing her vulnerability as an opportunity, Gaston proposed a deal. He would help free her father, but only if she agreed to marry him. Cornered by circumstance and fueled by desperation, Belle agreed, sealing her fate with a reluctant nod. Gaston wasted no time rallying the townsfolk with tales of the monstrous beast and spinning Belle's agreement into a romantic acceptance of his proposal. The village, easily swayed by Gaston's charisma and the promise of a good spectacle, formed a mob, armed with torches and pitchforks, ready to storm the castle. Under the cover of night, the mob approached the beast's castle, their path lit by moonlight, and their voices a cacophony of righteous fury. Belle, her heart heavy with guilt and fear, accompanied them, her mind racing with doubt and worry. She wondered if sacrificing the beast, a creature she barely understood but who clearly suffered under a heavy curse, was the only way to save her father. As the castle gates loomed before them, Gaston's voice rose above the din, a clarion call to arms that promised glory and retribution. Belle, caught in the swell of the moment, could only hope that the night would end with her father's freedom, and not the death of a misunderstood soul, who, like her, longed for liberation from his own prison. As the mob surged forward, the eerie silence of the castle's foreboding exterior was shattered by the clangor of the villagers' weapons against the ancient gates. Belle, her heart pounding with a mixture of dread and determination, moved reluctantly at the edge of the crowd, her thoughts tumultuous as she considered the repercussions of her decision. Inside the castle, the beast had been roused by the noise, his initial confusion turning into alarm as the reality of the invasion dawned on him. He had lived so long in solitude, burdened by the curse that transformed him from prince to monster, that the sudden hostility at his doorstep rekindled a fierce will to survive that he thought had long since extinguished. The enchanted servants of the castle, Lumiere the candelabra, Cogsworth the clock, and Mrs. Potts the teapot, scrambled in a frantic effort to fortify the castle's defenses. Despite their fear, they rallied, determined to protect their master, whom they still hoped would find love and break the curse that bound them all. Gaston led the charge, his bluster and bravado masking a cunning mind that calculated each move with precision. As the gates gave way under the relentless assault, he was the first to enter, his eyes scanning for the beast, eager to confront and destroy him to claim his prize, Belle. The villagers fanned out through the castle's shadowy corridors, their torches casting long dancing shadows as they encountered the strange and magical denizens of the enchanted castle. The atmosphere was charged with a mixture of wonder and terror as the living objects tried in vain to steer the intruders away, their efforts only adding fuel to the invaders' frightened fury. Belle, following at a distance, felt a growing sense of unease. She remembered the beast's eyes, haunted, lonely, and despairing. Not the eyes of a monster, but of someone cursed and suffering. Her resolve wavered, her steps slowing as she neared the tower where her father was held, her mind racing with doubts about the righteousness of their cause. Meanwhile, Gaston found the beast in the west wing, desolate and resigned to his fate, staring out of a shattered window into the stormy night. The beast, sensing Gaston's presence, turned slowly, his gaze filled with a sorrowful defiance. Gaston taunted him, waving his rifle with a menacing flourish. "Come out, beast," he bellowed. "Let's see who's truly the monster." A brutal confrontation ensued, Gaston using his hunter's skills to dodge and weave around the beast's slower, more powerful attacks. The fight was uneven, Gaston fueled by a malignant joy, and the beast by a desperate, fading hope of survival. As they battled, Belle reached her father, freeing him from his cell. Maurice, frail but overjoyed to see his daughter safe, urged her to flee with him, but Belle, her resolve hardened by the sounds of combat and the memory of the beast's melancholy solitude, made a fateful decision. She left her father with some of the castle's enchanted occupants and rushed towards the sounds of the struggle, arriving just in time to see Gaston corner the beast on a balcony. The rain poured, mixing with the blood and mud in a grim tableau. Gaston raised his rifle for the final shot, a wicked grin on his face. "No," Belle screamed, her voice carrying over the storm. Her shout distracted Gaston just long enough for the beast to make one last desperate move. In the ensuing scuffle, Gaston lost his footing, slipping on the wet stones of the balcony. The mob, hearing Belle's scream, rushed to the balcony, arriving just in time to see Gaston fall into the abyss below. The beast, gravely injured, collapsed as Belle reached him. Her tears fell on his face as she begged him to hold on. In that moment, under the witness of the shocked and silent villagers, something miraculous occurred. The last petal of the enchanted rose fell, and the castle shuddered, a deep magical pulse echoing through its halls. The beast's form shimmered, and where the monster had lain, a man now rested. The curse lifted, but the cost grievously high. Belle's cry of joy was cut short by a final breath as the beast, now a prince again, succumbed to his wounds. His last look, one of peace and gratitude towards the woman who had seen past the beast to the man beneath. Belle's sacrifice had broken the curse, but her heartbreak was only just beginning. As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, casting light into the darkened corners of the grand hall, Belle sat silently beside the lifeless form of the prince. The air, heavy with the remnants of magic, seemed to pulse with a quiet sorrow. Around her, the newly restored inhabitants of the castle moved quietly, their joy at being human once more tempered by the profound loss at their heart. In the tense silence, the villagers, their eyes wide with newfound understanding, quietly exited the castle. They left behind whispers of remorse, a community shaken to its core by the reality of their actions. Maurice, Belle's father, stayed close to his daughter, his presence a quiet comfort. Belle reached out a trembling hand to touch the prince's cold cheek, her tears falling silently. The curse was broken, yes, but at such a cost. As she grieved, a soft glow began to fill the room, and the air shimmered gently. From the luminescence, the form of the prince's spirit appeared, both sad and serene. Belle, his voice, ethereal yet clear, broke the silence. You freed me, not from the curse of the enchantress, but from a prison of loneliness and despair. For that, I am eternally grateful. Belle looked up, her eyes meeting his spectral gaze. I only wish I could have done more, that you could be here. Truly, here, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. The spirit of the prince smiled softly, a bittersweet expression that spoke of love and loss. In freeing me, you have taken on a great burden, Belle. The magic of the curse was tied not just to my life, but to the heart of the one who would break it. In saving me, in showing such selfless love, you have bound yourself to a new fate. Confusion crossed Belle's face, and a frisson of fear passed through her. What do you mean? She asked, a tremor in her voice. The magic must have a vessel, and with my passing it seeks a new one. You, dear Belle, who have shown the truest heart, will now carry this legacy. It will transform you as it transformed me, reflecting both the beauty and the beast within. As he spoke, the spectral light around him intensified, casting strange shadows on the walls. Belle felt a strange sensation, a thrum of power that coursed through her veins, warm like sunlight but heavy with the weight of the unknown. The transformation was gradual, but inexorable. Belle felt her body change, her senses heighten, and her emotions amplify. She stood, her reflection in the grand mirror of the hall, showing not just the young woman she had been, but a creature both majestic and terrifying. Her eyes, once a soft brown, now glowed with a golden light, and her form held the grace of the beast, powerful and wild. The prince's spirit watched her change, his expression one of sorrowful pride. Do not fear, Belle. You possess a strength unmatched. And though these magic changes your form, it cannot alter your heart. Use this gift, this powerful curse, and turn it into a beacon of hope. Show the world that true beauty lies in the strength to embrace our differences and the courage to stand against misunderstanding and fear. With those final words, his form dissipated, leaving Belle alone with her new reality. She faced her reflection, her heart heavy but also filled with a resolute determination. If this was her fate, she would not let it be a curse in vain. Maurice, seeing his daughter in her new form, approached tentatively. "Belle?" he asked, uncertainty in his voice. Belle turned to him, her new form towering and imposing, yet her smile was all too familiar. "It's me, Papa. I'm still here," she reassured him, her voice richer, imbued with a resonant power. Maurice, however, staggered back, his eyes wide with horror. His hands shook as he reached into his coat, pulling out an old, rusted pistol, a relic from his younger days, kept more for sentimental reasons than for protection. Belle, seeing the fear in her father's eyes, felt a pang of despair. "Papa, please," she began, her voice a deep, resonant echo of her former self. "It's me, Belle. I'm still your daughter." Maurice's face twisted in anguish, his fear mingling with confusion. "No," he whispered, his voice cracking. "This isn't my daughter. My Belle isn't a beast." His finger trembled on the trigger, driven by a deep-seated fear of the unknown, of the monstrous. The shot rang out, echoing off the stone walls, a sharp, brutal sound that seemed to split the morning in two. Belle flinched as the bullet struck her, the pain sharp but not debilitating. Her new form afforded her protections she had not known as a human. She staggered back, her heart breaking not from the wound, but from her father's rejection. "Papa," she cried out. But Maurice, overcome by fear, turned and fled from the castle, leaving Belle alone with the echo of the gunshot and the sting of betrayal. As the heavy castle doors slammed shut, Belle's sorrow turned to anger, and then to a deep, isolating bitterness. She roamed the empty halls of her once potential home, her footsteps heavy, and her thoughts darker than the shadows that clung to the corners. The curse had not only altered her form, it had reshaped her destiny, chaining her to solitude and misunderstanding just as it had the prince before her. Days turned into weeks, and Belle's heart hardened. She locked the gates of the castle, barring entry to a world that had shown her cruelty instead of compassion. The villagers, hearing tales of the new beasts that resided in the castle, stayed far away, their fear rewriting the story of the gentle girl who had once walked among them. One evening, as Belle stood gazing out of the same window where the beast had once awaited his fate, the air shimmered and the spirit of the prince appeared once more. His expression was sorrowful, his ethereal presence a stark contrast to the darkness of Belle's new life. "Belle," he said softly, his voice filled with regret. "This was never the life I wanted for you. You were meant to be the end of the curse, not its new bearer." Belle turned to him, her eyes glowing with unshed tears. "But I am cursed," she replied, her voice bitter. "Cursed to be feared, to be alone. You found peace in your transformation because someone saw the good in you. Who will see the good in me?" The prince's spirit moved closer, a comforting presence in the cold, vast hall. "I see it, Belle. I see it every day in your struggle, in your pain, and I am so sorry that my salvation became your suffering." A small sad comfort for the beast that Belle had become. In the silence, Belle realized that her story might never find the happy ending she had once read about in her beloved books. Instead, she was destined to walk the halls of the castle, a guardian of a curse that was both a burden and a legacy, forever caught between the world of humans and the whispers of the enchanted. And that is going to be it for this dark tale. of what if the Beast was murdered in Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Now, it is a very dark tale, considering the fact that Belle would become the new Beast in this alternate timeline. It was almost as if the curse had shifted towards her instead after the Beast was murdered. So it really gives a different tale on the storyline, and this was something that I really wanted to do for a very long time. I think diving into like Disney stories as well as like Disney Pixar, even like DreamWorks, there's so many different tales that I want to tell on this channel, and this was a very unique one. I think it was one that wasn't really requested, but I wanted to do it for a very long time. But that being said, my fellow watchers of the multiverse, if you enjoy these types of videos, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date when I post. I also do want to say, do make sure to check out the Substack as well as the Patreon, as there's different perks and different exclusive content that you can see on both of them. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video, and I will see you in the next What If episode. Take care and have a fantastic day. Peace out.